The evening light in her La Jolla apartment was soft and forgiving, but it could not soften the hard edges of the memories. Amy sat on the edge of her bed, the old photo album heavy on her lap. Page by page, she turned through a life that no longer belonged to her. There they were, Michael, forever frozen in his modest student clothes, and herself, a young nurse in a white coat, their dreams fueled by cheap cafeteria coffee. When I become a doctor, I'll make you happy, Amy, I promise. His voice, a ghost from a past life, echoed in the quiet room. She had clung to that promise through the night shifts, the cramped apartment smelling of medical textbooks, the late-night snacks she'd make before his exams. She had believed in their future with every fiber of her being. Her wedding ring, lying among the scattered photos, caught the light, a simple band of platinum, engraved with their names and a date that now felt like a lie. With a quiet finality, she slipped it off and placed it in her grandmother's small, pink jewelry box. The click of the lid closing was the sound of a chapter ending. Outside, the California sun bled into the horizon, painting the sky a brilliant, painful crimson. The invitation had arrived like a carefully calibrated blow, thick, premium paper, embossed with gold leaf that gleamed with ostentatious joy. A wedding at the Manchester Grand Hyatt. Her mother's call had been a study in willful ignorance. You'll come, won't you, Amy? Jessica is so looking forward to having you there. The cheerfulness in her voice was a blade, glossing over the affair, the divorce, the shattering of a 7-year marriage. In the hospital break room the next day, the scent of coffee a small comfort, Amy confided in Carol, her only confidant. The yachts on San Diego Bay outside the window seemed to sail on, untouched by her turmoil. Don't go, had been her first thought, but Carol, her wise eyes full of compassion, had gently disagreed. You've done nothing wrong, Amy. Go there with your head held high. If you run, you let them win. Besides, she'd added, a knowing look in her eye, life often holds unexpected happiness. So she went. The Grand Hyatt ballroom was a spectacle of curated perfection. Chandeliers wept crystal tears, and an arch of white roses and lilies framed the altar. Amy, in a simple light blue dress and her grandmother's pearls, took a seat at the very back. She felt the weight of cold stares, the averted gazes of former friends. The room was a gallery of judgment, and she was the exhibit. The ceremony was a flawless pantomime. Jessica, in a cloud of designer white, floated down the aisle. Michael, in his finest tuxedo, wore a smirk of triumph. As they exchanged vows and a kiss, Amy felt a part of her soul wither. The man she had supported, the sister she had cherished, their betrayal was now sanctified before God and everyone. The reception began, a symphony of clinking champagne flutes and hollow congratulations, and then, as the festivities peaked, Jessica took the microphone, her eyes scanning the crowd until they landed, with predatory precision, on Amy. Amy, dear sister, stand up, won't you? I'd love for you to say a few words. The request was a velvet-wrapped trap. Amy's legs trembled as she rose, the room tilting around her. Jessica's smile was pure malice. Everyone, look at my sister, my poor, ugly sister. Is there anyone here who would even want her? A wave of nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Before Amy could crumble, Michael stood, taking the microphone with a swagger. Don't be too hard on her, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. She's used goods, but I can attest, still serviceable. The laughter that followed was a physical blow. Amy's vision swam, the luxurious ballroom blurring into a nightmare. She was drowning in their cruelty. Then, a sound cut through the noise, the firm scrape of a chair from the back of the room. All heads turned as a man stood. David. He moved with a quiet authority that instantly commanded the room, his navy suit a stark contrast to the frivolous celebration. The smug smiles on Jessica and Michael's faces melted away, replaced by confusion and dawning alarm. He walked forward, his steps measured and sure, and took the microphone from a stunned Jessica. I am Drive, David Carter, he announced, his voice low and steady, yet carrying to every corner of the silent ballroom, director of the National Children's Medical Center. A murmur of recognition went through the crowd. Michael visibly paled. I am not here for the bride or groom, David continued, his gaze finding and holding Amy's, an anchor in her storm. I am here to speak about a nurse, About Amy Brown. He paused, letting the silence deepen. Amy is the nurse you call when a 6-month-old baby is fighting for its life with a broken heart. She is the one who will hold the hand of a terrified mother for 48 hours straight, refusing to leave until the crisis has passed. He pulled a small photo from his inner pocket. This is that baby, smiling. This is the family, whole. This is the dedication your used goods possesses. Before the weight of his words could fully settle, another voice rang out. A woman stood near the back, holding the hand of a young girl. "And I am Jane Wilson," she declared, her voice strong and clear. "This is my daughter, Sarah. 2 years ago, she was dying of pneumonia. The doctors saved her body, but it was Miss Amy who saved her spirit. She read to her, held her through the fevers, and made her believe she could be brave." The woman looked directly at Jessica and Michael, her eyes blazing with contempt. "You speak of service and use? You aren't worthy of polishing her shoes." In the deafening silence that followed, David extended his hand toward Amy, his gaze unwavering. "Amy," he said, his voice now gentle, yet still heard by all, "your work here is done. There are children at the hospital who are asking for you. They need the real you, the one who matters." Leaving the microphone on a nearby table, he walked to her, offering not just his hand, but a lifeline. And as Amy placed her hand in his, the spell of shame was broken. She walked with him, head held high, past the silent, staring guests, past her speechless parents, past the crumbling facade of the perfect wedding, and out into the setting sun, toward a future that, for the first time in a long time, felt truly her own. The trembling voice of Jane Wilson cut through the stunned silence. "When my Sarah took a turn for the worse in the middle of the night, Amy was the first to rush to her side. She didn't leave for hours. My daughter is alive thanks to her. She is our angel." As if her words were a signal, a wave of movement swept through the ballroom, one by one. Then in groups, people began to stand. A nurse from Scripps Mercy, still in her scrubs, the father of a young leukemia patient, a colleague who had seen Amy work tirelessly through the night. They were a silent, powerful army, their presence a louder testimony than any speech. David took the microphone again, his voice resonating with a quiet authority that demanded attention. "You see? This is the woman you dared to mock. She is not unloved. She is a cornerstone of our hospital, a lifeline for families in their darkest hours. She saves children. Who among you has the right to look down on such a person?" The atmosphere in the room underwent a seismic shift. The guests' faces, once masks of judgment or amusement, now showed dawning shame and profound respect. Jessica looked as if she'd been slapped. Michael's triumphant smirk had vanished, replaced by a sickly pallor. "And there is more," David continued, his gaze sweeping over the crowd before landing warmly on Amy. "I have the honor of announcing that the American Pediatric Nursing Association has selected its recipient for the annual Excellence in Nursing Award. The award goes to Amy Brown." This time, the applause was not hesitant. It was thunderous, heartfelt, a wave of validation that washed over Amy, finally unlocking the tears she had fought so hard to hold back. David's focus then shifted to Michael, his eyes turning to steel. "As for you, Dr. Thompson, a word on professionalism, or the lack thereof. Falsifying patient records and intimidating junior staff are offenses that stain the entire medical community. My hospital, and any institution with integrity, would never employ a physician who betrays the oath he took so easily, just as he betrayed his wife." Michael crumpled, sinking into his chair as if the bones had left his body. Whispers of shock and condemnation buzzed around him. David didn't even glance at Jessica. "And true value," he said to the room at large, "is never found in the pleasure one takes in another's pain. It is found in the selfless acts of those like Amy, who give hope when there seems to be none." He then walked toward Amy, the crowd parting for him. In the fading sunset light that streamed through the grand windows, he seemed to bring all the dignity and purpose that had been missing from the gaudy spectacle. "Amy," he said, his voice softening as he reached her. He took her trembling hands in his. "I came here today for one reason, to show you what you truly are. You are the one most deserving of love and respect. I watched you, exhausted after a double shift, reading Goodnight Moon to a child who was too scared to sleep. In that moment, I saw not just a nurse, but the very heart of what healing means." His words were a balm, sinking deep into her wounded soul. Your smile gives children the courage to fight. Your kindness gives parents the strength to endure. You are the best of us. He then knelt on one knee, and a collective gasp filled the room. He produced a small, velvet box. I don't have a grand exposé of their crimes, he said, his eyes only for her. The truth about Michael's malpractice and Jessica's deceptions will find its own way into the light, as it always does. That is not why I am here. I am here for you, Amy Brown. Will you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife? Let me spend the rest of my life cherishing your heart, and supporting the beautiful work you do. The silence was absolute, thick with emotion. Then, a small figure approached. It was Sarah Wilson, holding a single, perfect white rose. For you, Miss Amy, she whispered. Be happy. That simple, innocent blessing broke the last of Amy's reserve. A sob escaped her, but it was a sound of release, of joy. Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling but clear. Yes, David, I will. The ballroom erupted. The applause was deafening, a roaring tide of celebration that washed away the last vestiges of the earlier humiliation. As David slipped the ring onto her finger, a band that felt not like a promise, but like a new beginning, Amy saw her parents standing, their faces streaked with tears of regret and, for the first time, genuine pride for her. David drew her into a warm, secure embrace. Let's walk this path together, he murmured, for the sake of all the children's smiles yet to come. The setting sun, in its final, glorious blaze, seemed to pour a blessing of light directly upon them. Jessica and Michael had already slunk away, but in that moment, their absence was irrelevant. They were already ghosts. 1 year later, soft spring light filled the new pediatric oncology wing at Scripps Mercy. Amy Carter, her new head nurse uniform crisp and confident, reviewed a chart at the central station. Amy, how are the final preparations for the dedication ceremony? David's voice was warm as he came to stand beside her, their wedding bands glinting in unison. Right on schedule, she said, her voice filled with a deep sense of purpose. The staff is trained, the rooms are ready. Their shared dream, a state-of-the-art ward designed with both medical excellence and profound human compassion, was now a reality. Sarah was discharged yesterday, Amy added, a soft smile gracing her lips. Full remission. The little girl with the rosé? David asked. Amy nodded, her eyes misty. She told me she wants to be a nurse now. She calls me her angel. The memory of her past pain was now a distant shadow, transformed by the profound joy of the present. A gentle knock interrupted them. Her father, Thomas, stood at the door. Her mother, Martha, hovering nervously behind him. The arrogance that had once defined them was gone, replaced by a hesitant humility. Sweetheart, do you have a moment? Her father asked, his voice gentle. Of course. Amy welcomed them in. Her father held out a faded photograph, a young Amy and Jessica, flanked by their beaming parents. We've been going through old things, he began, his voice thick. We are so sorry, Amy, for everything, for not seeing you, for not valuing the incredible daughter we had. Her mother reached out, her hand trembling. That day, at the wedding, we saw true strength. We saw what real love looks like. We lost one daughter through our own blindness. We don't want to lose you. We were hoping, her father continued, we could take a new family photo, with you, and David, and, his eyes drifted hopefully to the gentle swell of Amy's abdomen. Tears welled in Amy's eyes as she placed a hand on her stomach, feeling the stirring of new life within. We'd like that, she whispered. David watched, his smile gentle, as the three embraced a fragile, but hopeful, reconciliation. Meanwhile, in a dusty town in Arizona, Michael Thompson sorted files in the back office of a small, underfunded clinic. The whispers of the doctor who falsified records had followed him, ensuring his career would never recover. The weight of his debts and his disgrace was a constant companion. In a rented room in Nevada, Jessica applied makeup to a client in a small, strip mall beauty salon. The glittering world of social media and luxury was a cruel memory. The silence of her nights was broken only by the echo of her own regret, a whispered apology to a sister who could no longer hear her. But in her new life, Amy held no space for hatred. It had been crowded out by love, by purpose, by joy. Amy, the board is waiting, David said, offering his hand. From the panoramic windows of the new ward, she could see the endless blue of the San Diego Bay, the yachts like tiny white specks on the water. She remembered Carol's words, spoken in a break room that felt a lifetime ago. Life often holds unexpected happiness. She had been right. Smiling, Amy placed a hand on her belly. All right, she said, turning to David. Let's go. For our dream. Taking his hand, she walked forward. The walls of the corridor were lined with drawings from their young patients, a gallery of hope and resilience. The spring light, bright and clear, streamed in, illuminating not just the hallway, but the boundless future that lay ahead. Everything that was broken had been remade, led not by revenge, but by the quiet, unwavering power of true love.